takeoff. I'm David Wade. Tonight we begin with rattled nerves on a runway in Dallas. A bullet pierced a Southwest jetliner just feet from the cockpit as it taxied for takeoff. It is the latest incident in a week of problems for planes and passengers. CBS's Jason Allen leads us off tonight at Love Field. Jason?
David, you know that there are all kinds of sounds you hear when a plane is getting ready to take off. Well, Southwest Airlines tells me in this case, the crew of the plane heard something above all of that that was out of place. It turned out to be a bullet hitting the side of the plane as they were headed out toward the runway, about to take off.
Southwest 2494, we want to return to the gate, need to have an inspection down here on the aircraft.
The passengers and crew on the 737 were moments from takeoff when a bullet hit the right side of the jetliner just below the cockpit. The FAA says no one was hurt. The aircraft returned to the gate and passengers exited. A Southwest source tells CBS News it appears to be a stray bullet. We asked travelers about it at Love Field today. Does any of that cause you any hesitation before you're getting on a plane today?
I know I ain't going to Haiti, though.
The FAA stopped U.S. airlines from flying to Haiti this week after gangs shot 3 U.S. jets. Former NTSB chair Robert Sumwalt spoke to my colleague Chris Van Cleve.
How dangerous is it for a plane to get struck by a bullet?
Obviously, when you have people shooting at an airplane, it's not a good situation.
Go, 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 go.
In Denver, a rush to the exits. 108 passengers evacuated on this Southwest flight Friday. A cell phone battery caught fire as the plane was preparing to depart.
We were lucky because we were delayed 30 minutes. If we hadn't been delayed, that phone would have caught on fire in the air.
And trouble on a Scandinavian Airlines flight headed to Miami. The jet with 254 passengers on board shaken by severe turbulence over Greenland Thursday. It turned around, landing in Copenhagen.
The plane that was hit by the bullet is still here. It's out of commission until it can be repaired. There is an FAA-approved repair process, believe it or not, for bullet holes in the body of a plane. Aviation experts we talked to told us it's important not to draw any links or conclusions between all of these events, but they are happening, David, just about a week before that very busy holiday travel season gets underway.
Wow, Jason Allen in Dallas, thank you. Tonight, President-elect Trump is in New York City for a night out in his hometown, and his picks for his cabinet just keep coming. Trump revealed he wants Chris Wright, CEO of a fracking company, to be his energy secretary. CBS's Allie Bauman joins us live outside of Trump Tower in Manhattan. Allie?
David, President-elect Donald Trump is in the city tonight to attend an Ultimate Fighting Championship event at Madison Square Garden. But the real fight is going on down in D.C., where several lawmakers are raising concerns about his latest cabinet selections. As President-elect Donald Trump departs from Florida for New York City Saturday, many on Capitol Hill are spinning over his cabinet picks.
I'm trying to be respectful. I believe in a smooth transition of government. His cabinet picks leave me worried.
While selections like Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State were expected, others are raising eyebrows, including Trump's pick for National Intelligence, former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. to lead Health and Human Services, Fox News host Pete Hegseth for Defense Secretary, and former Congressman Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. Gaetz had been the subject of a House Ethics Committee inquiry into allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use before resigning from his seat Wednesday. Despite calls from senators on both sides of the aisle, House Speaker Mike Johnson says he does not think the committee should release its findings.
We should stick to the tradition and not release a report on a former member of the House because it would open a dangerous Pandora's box.
An attorney for 2 women who were witnesses in that investigation tells CBS News one of his clients testified she saw Gaetz having sex with a minor at a party in Orlando in 2017. Gaetz denies the allegations.
I am confident that all of the information that is in that ethics report will come out through the process.
And CBS News has learned that Vice President-elect J.D. Vance has been speaking with Senate Republicans about the confirmation process and gauging support for Trump's picks. Now, Trump still has about a dozen more cabinet roles to decide on, and next week he's expected to choose his economic team, which includes Treasury Secretary. David?
Allie Bauman in New York City. Thank you. To Peru now, in a meeting between President Biden and China's President Xi. It comes as relations between the rival superpowers face new uncertainty. The leaders gathered at a hotel on the sidelines of the APEC summit. For Biden, it was the last chance to directly challenge Xi after working to avoid open conflict with Beijing these last 4 years. But China's focus is less on the lame duck president and more on the next president. CBS's Ramy Inocencio is in Hong Kong, where all the talk is about Trump's tough talk on tariffs and Taiwan.
Beijing is bracing for a new dawn in China-U.S. ties. Wary about the second coming of an emboldened President Donald Trump.
And I'm doing the same thing with China. We're going to tariff the hell out of them.
Last time, Trump was not friendly to China, this woman told CBS News in Beijing. Personally, I like Trump, but he does things that are outrageous, said this man. Trump's top threat is economic. Eye-watering tariffs of 60% on all Chinese imports to protect American manufacturing.
In terms of retaliation choices for China, it's very limited.
Chen Zhiwu at Hong Kong University says that's because China relies on America for crops and semiconductors.
I would not want to invest too much in China.
The play is America.
That's right.
On top of China's slowing economic growth, its property market that's crashed, and its youth unemployment that's hit a record high. The biggest flashpoint of all.
The sovereignty over Taiwan is the red line of all the red lines.
Beijing says the democratic island of 23 million is a separatist province and has vowed to retake it. The U.S. is legally committed to supporting Taiwan's defense, but many fear Trump may not. To what extent is an isolationist America good for China?
China does not want to replace the United States as the top dog. China needs to put its own house in order.
And Xi Jinping's job is looking more difficult, with Trump naming more China hawks to his cabinet, like Representative Mike Waltz for his national security advisor and Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. Rubio has called China the U.S.'s most advanced adversary, and Beijing has sanctioned him twice. Ramy Inocencio, CBS News, Hong Kong.
To the Middle East now, and tonight Hezbollah leaders in Lebanon are reviewing a U.S. ceasefire proposal as Israeli forces push deeper into that country. And in Gaza, the latest Israeli strikes have claimed at least 26 lives, with no peace in sight for war-weary civilians. CBS's Elizabeth Palmer is in Tel Aviv.
Almost 2 million Palestinian Gazans have endured more than a year of violence and trauma. In desperation, they're looking to a new government in Washington for help. Rakan Abdul Ahman.
The winning of the Trump to stop the war on the Gaza Strip and end our suffering. I'm not going to start. We're going to stop wars.
Gazan Palestinians know that in his victory speech, Donald Trump said he'd stop wars, and they hope he means this one. We have sent him a message, says Abdul Hadi Farahat, that we've had enough of killing, destruction, all the disasters afflicting Palestinians. But Mustafa Barghouti, a Palestinian lawmaker in the West Bank, warns, be careful what you wish for.
I think we're going through a very dangerous time. For two reasons. First of all, you have very extreme Israeli government, and from the other side, you have President Trump appointing one pro-Israeli politician after the other.
Even if Trump does convince Israel to end this war, Barghouti says Palestinians will be facing another long-standing battle. That is, halting the expansion of Jewish outposts on what was Palestinian land in the West Bank. And he's worried about pro-Israeli officials in the Trump cabinet, like Mike Huckabee, his pick for U.S. ambassador, who said there's no such thing as Palestine. But analyst and former diplomat Michael Oren says it may not be so simple. Just look at Trump's first term.
He was against unbridled, unfettered settlement expansion, and Donald Trump is signed on what he called the deal of the century. And that deal was a two-state deal. And believe me, the Israeli far right actually knew it then and rejected it. Today, they seem to forget it.
The war here has to stop. Almost everybody agrees on that. But what lies beyond, David, particularly whether or if the Palestinians get independence, is anybody's guess.
Elizabeth Palmer in Tel Aviv, thank you. Well, tonight there are winter weather warnings all across the U.S., with snow expected in several states. And the first king tides of the season have also arrived on the West Coast. Take a look at this video. A woman in Oregon, lucky to be alive after getting caught in the dangerous high tide. The woman just walking along the beach when she was knocked off her feet and nearly swept away. Fortunately, she was able to pull herself out. From tides to storms, time to check in with CBS News meteorologist Andrew Kozak. Andrew?
Yeah, David, glad she is okay. A king tide, well, that is formed by several factors. Let's talk about it for a second. Waxing gibbous phase of the moon, that means 98.4% full. That's what we saw Thursday over Oregon. We also were at perigee, which means the orbit of the moon was closest to the Earth. And, of course, we also had several strong cold fronts moving through. Another one just about to enter the Pacific Northwest with heavy rain across the coast and several areas under winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories. On Sunday, we could have a soaking rain from Portland to Seattle. Higher elevations, including areas across Idaho and Montana, could have an additional foot of snow. We're also watching the southern plains. Oklahoma and Texas could be looking at severe weather, including isolated tornadoes, and very dry once again up and down the East Coast. Elevated fire danger once again in the Northeast. A lack of rain, low humidity, and continued gusty winds into the week ahead. David?